With a View, published in 1908, is undoubtedly one of the greatest masterpieces written by the British novelist Edward Morgan Forster. The romance has been source of inspiration for the homonymous film by James Avery, director as well of the film Our Hand. A Room with a View was shot in 1986 and won 3 Oscar awards. The story is set at the beginning of the 20th century, swinging between the atmosphere of the British Middle Ages and the Italian Renaissance. Lucy Honeychurch, a young woman from a British wealthy family, is on holiday in Florence with her cousin Charlotte, emblem of the artificial English society. Once they arrive in the Pensione Bartolini, the two women have to face a primary concern. Although rooms with a view of the River Arno have been promised for each of them, their rooms look over a courtyard. Lucy and Charlotte are disappointed, and Mr. Emerson, another guest of the Pensione, offers them to swap the rooms with the ones occupied by him and his son George. This behavior, according to the moral of that time, appeared impolite and caused Charlotte's consternation. Without letting Lucy speak, she refused the offer, looking down at Emerson, considering them tactless. The author has slightly emphasized the conflict between the real altruism and the false etiquette, between the real feelings and the indifferent and faded cliché. Afterwards, only thanks to Bibb's intervention, a priest known previously in England, they accepted the offer. One afternoon, when Lucy is walking in Florence, she witnesses a murder, and George happens to be nearby, helps her when she faints. From that incident, a deep attachment, both mental and physical, between them starts growing. She is confused by her own feelings and decides to avoid the young man, but during the story she gives up the conventions to which her cousin Charlotte obliges her. This story starts from the first meeting between Lucy and the Emersons at the Pensione and reaches a climax with the trip in carriages to Fiesole. Here, an unexpected meeting between Lucy and George peaks with a kiss among the fields of violets. Soon after, they are interrupted by Lucy's cousin that discovers them and wants to leave Florence for Rome, where Lucy will spend her time with Cecil Vyse, a sophisticated pretender who had been already refused twice by her in the past. Whereas the other pension's guests considered the Emersons tactless and no manners, Lucy grows more and more curious and willing to better know them. A Room with a View is one of the most optimistic Forster's romances. Among the main topics, there is Lucy's repression of sexuality and her nature torn between spontaneity and appearances. It's a 20th Buildings roman in which Forster portrays the English society of that time by radicalizing the cultural and sentimental clash between the green England and the colorful Italy. The two cultures and the different ways to live play a key role in Lucy's growth, because it's thanks to this contrast that she develops her own ideas about values and social behaviors to follow and others to be criticized. It's exactly in Italy she understands formalities are not crucial in life. Forster has idealized Italy as a country of freedom and sexual liberation, which drove many British men to flee the oppressive English society, always ready to criticize unconventional behaviors. It's in Italy, also thanks to the initial friendship and then love affair with George, that she understands how relationships have to be free and authentically lived. This is the reason why, when she comes back to England, Lucy cannot accept anymore an engagement with the sophisticated and snob Londoner Cecil, a symbol of the aristocratic society. He looks down on the middle class and retains reproachable the countryside man's manners. Lucy starts more and more to see Charlotte as a troublesome because her cousin did all she could to hinder her relation with Emerson, considering all the Florentine experience morally wrong. Love and conventions are the principal romance's subjects, which find their expression in the useless and outward good manners rejections opposed to the authentic feelings. In a film scene, George is outspoken with Lucy and explains to her how much his love is real and deep, much different from the love of Cecil, who wants to transform her in the perfect wife and who despises the low social status of the Emersons. George criticizes his rival in the same manner the author criticizes the society. Forster greatly contrasts George and Cecil's characters, both morally and physically, and the film respects accurately this aspect. The first one, played by Julian Sands, is a young, blonde and healthy man, while the second one, played by Daniel Day-Lewis, is a thin and always elegant man which snobs sport, refuses to play tennis, and isolates himself to show off his superiority. I consider this romance incredibly topical. We can notice that especially in Lucy's indecision, split between her family's expectations and her repressed instincts. Lucy, thanks to the traditional educational journey in Italy on the footprints of the Grand Tour, does not discover just the Florentine art and the Italian beauties, but she learns to live. The rejection of barren social conventions, the emancipation of women, the right of self-determination are the main topics of the novel. Her escape from the atmosphere of the English Middle Ages to the atmosphere of Italian Renaissance is the key point of this Bildungsroman roman. The author himself, following his journey, which was a common experience for many young people at that time, considered Italy as a mythical place. Although Lucy from the beginning does not seem so determined, she shows herself as more realistic compared to other literary pre-existent characters, such as Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice and Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Lucy Honeychurch looks like real for her insecure nature, which later on becomes aware of the reality, so distant from Windy's Corner 1. Neither Forster nor any reader, especially the modern ones, could accept Lucy's marriage with Cecil. Both the romance and the film end with George and Lucy joined in Florence. Ivory is incredibly faithful to the novel's atmosphere, and the actors resemble a lot the novel's characters. The producer seems to be fond of the two more controversial characters, even if he slightly mocks them. The cousin Charlotte, interpreted by Maggie Smith, is transformed in a Cupid, and Cecil in a man desperately in love. Avery stresses the most insufferable behaviors of these characters by transforming them in funny and peculiar figures. As aforementioned, both in the romance and in the film, the story ends up in Florence, in the room with a view, with Lucy and George who have decided to make their dream come true and not to heed useless social conventions. Only a few elements differ from the romance, mostly at the end of the story. In the romance, readers understand perfectly that Lucy's family has not completely accepted her brave decision against society's dictates. Moreover, from the letter which her brother Freddie sends her, readers understand how wishful she is to reconcile with her whole family. This melancholic facet in the conclusion of the novel does not appear in the film, due to the fact that Avery wanted to gladden the spectators with a positive message, a happy ending, and they lived happily ever after.